banks around America have warned of a carbon asset bubble that could create economic havoc when it bursts. And yet the American Bankers Association makes no effort to solve the climate problem. The insurance companies, particularly the property casualty insurers of America, are seeing unprecedented payouts that they have to make for climate emergencies and facing a day when they can't assess risk properly, so their business model collapses. So they warn about that, but the Insurance Association, their insurance lobby groups, don't come here to Congress and put any effort behind climate change. Freddie Mac warns of a coastal property values crash that's going to make the 2008 mortgage meltdown look mild. Yet the realtors of America don't come here and put any effort into climate change. Instead, you have the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which won't disclose how much fossil fuel money it takes, coming in and being as antagonistic as possible in the ways that I described earlier. One thing I would point out is that while the U.S. Chamber of Commerce may be able to tell members of Congress, as they have me, no, I'm not going to tell you anything about where I get my money, even though in any other forum where anything is being debated, you find out about your adversary's bias. They have to disclose it. You can cross-examine them, but no, not for the U.S. Chamber. But members can. It would be really hard to be a member of an organization and go to the organization and say, hey, tell me how you're funded. Tell me how this annoying thing that you're doing that I really dislike, how that relates to where your money's come from. I'm your member. You don't have a First Amendment right or any other amendment right not to tell your membership about where your funding comes from. So I think it's going to be really important to put that pressure point on the Chamber of Commerce. They ought to disclose what fossil fuel money they have received since Citizens United, and their members and their board members ought to be asking them for it, because they don't have a defense against that request. Frankly, it may very well be irresponsible corporate behavior from members of the organization not to have asked that, particularly if it comes out in some other fashion later on and you find out that Corporation X sat on the board of the Chamber of Commerce for a decade, watched all this happen, never asked basic questions about where the money was coming from to the organization that they were on the board of, and then the whole story came out what they'd turned a blind eye to. So I put the focus back on the Chamber and its members to clean up its act and stop being a bad actor in this space, in this Capitol building.
Yeah, so I was chairman over Wall Street for 10 years in the